utterly useless, limp-wristed, spineless, little mealy-mouthed, empty vessels who have all...
Jesus, this man is so emotional. I'm just gonna let this Republican Beyblade spin himself out here, and then we'll just wrap it up at the end. Hey babies, welcome back. I'm David, and you're watching Dismantling Hate, and today we are going to take another look at Matt Walsh, girl.
Oh, Jesus. Gross.
Everybody's favorite misogynist. Oh, God, Matt Walsh. Okay, and I thought it would be extra appropriate for me to be painted in drag makeup as I react to this video that is called Veggie Tales Creator Has a Huge Problem with My Film. Here's my response. So Matt Walsh has two very infantile documentary films. One of them came out quite recently called Am I Racist? And then the other one is called What is a Woman? The first one is very transphobic. The second one is very racist. And if you're interested in breakdowns of those videos, I don't have those on my channel because I couldn't possibly put myself through all this nonsense. It's gonna take me a while to get through this 15-minute video, but there's lots of other creators who have gone through those. If you haven't heard of Matt Walsh, I can't imagine a world where you haven't. But if you haven't, and I'm your introduction to this man, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. And if you want to know what kind of people really like Matt Walsh, take a look down in the comments, because I'm sure a lot of Matt Walsh's no, can't say that, because I'm sure a lot of people who support Matt Walsh are going to be sounding off in the comments because then just anyway, the description of this video says a couple of pastors and the guy who created Veggie Tales are the latest Christians to come out against my new movie. I grew up watching Veggie Tales, so I'm really interested to see why the creator doesn't like Matt Walsh. It's not like it's obvious. Anyway, I'm gonna slide my bad self on over. We're gonna roll the intro and let's get started. Matt Walsh, take 3. And like it is walking the line of like freedom of speech. You know what? If we're gonna be out here and we're gonna be vulnerable on this channel for together, you and me, right now, right here, yeah. We should really be talking about that because that's harmful. All right, I'm ready. Are you ready? It's okay if you're not. Take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay because we're gonna do it together. Roll the transphobia. Okay, kids, hold on to your hats. Here we go.
So recently on the show, we discussed the deep concern expressed by some Christian commentators about my new film, Am I Racist? These pundits are troubled by the film because they say we use deceptive tactics to capture the footage. And that is...
Well, they did. From what I've seen, they absolutely, like, their team was so deceptive in the ways that they were getting information and then they were editing it together to make it appear a certain way. It was very weird. I'll link a creator or two in my description of people who have actually broken it down piece by piece because it is a horrific documentary, but it does serve as quite a standalone of a moment in time that is horrendous to be existing. So his voice really gets me, girl. Wow, my hair has a lot of volume.
What's your point, David?
Anyway, you're not here for that. You're here for my wit and beauty.
I'm feeling my oath.
Profoundly problematic, they say. They are disturbed. A Christian has made a movie that's interesting and funny and effective and that appeals to a wide audience. And
it's not any of those things, actually.
This is, of course, a cause for great alarm among the sorts of Christians who want to make sure that we never do anything interesting, funny, or effective, especially if it appeals to a wide audience. No, what they want always are things that are lame and boring and redundant and, most of all, insular. And I've already addressed the arguments these people have made. I don't need to address it again, and yet here we are, because I happened to see a clip posted to Twitter by the account Woke Preacher Clips. This is a conversation on a podcast called Holy Post, hosted by Phil Vischer, best known as one of the creators of Veggie Tales. Vischer has gone woke in recent years, or maybe...
Not the creator of Veggie Tales going woke. Why is that so funny?
I don't know, but it's no great surprise either way that he's apparently not a fan of mine. And he's joined on this episode by a guy named Pastor Mike Erie and another guy named Sky Jathani, who is now a Christian speaker, I guess, and was once also a pastor. So these three brilliant minds came together to talk about the film, a film that, as far as I can tell, none of them have seen. Let's listen.
The film lampoons diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and features Walsh posing as a DEI expert to expose and ridicule actual DEI experts in a Borat-style subterfuge.
That's a very good description of his documentary. That's almost exactly what it was, yeah.
And if there's anything we need more in the Christian world...
Wait, who's the creator of Veggie Tales? Maybe it's the guy who looks like Larry.
Shade!
Oh, God, David, that's not nice. That's not nice.
Borat style subterfuge.
Now, I'm going to let them continue, but I do want to interject here to say that,
the banjo in the back is really, yeah. Oh, country boy, I hate you.
Actually, Phil, we do need more of that in the Christian world. Comedy, satire, using the left's own methods against them. That is, without question, something we need more of. But these three men disagree, so let's get to their argument. Even though they didn't see the movie and haven't the slightest damn clue what they're even talking about, still.
Like, he talks about his movie being comedic, and I haven't seen the whole thing because I'm not giving this man any money, but from the clips that he's published that I've watched, and then the creators' videos that I've watched breaking the film down, it wasn't funny, and not in like a that's not funny and I'm a liberal who's mad. It just wasn't funny in the fact that like there were no jokes written. It was just like situational, like, oh, I'm gonna put on a wig and that's funny because I'm a Republican. Like that's not funny. Like comedy is thought about. Comedy has intention behind it beyond just like punching down at people who you don't respect, right?
Let's continue.
We don't know who's right, but it sparked a conversation online among Christians saying, is that okay? And Denny Burke wrote a piece. Actually, I was reading from Denny Burke's piece, who's the head of the Center for Biblical Womanhood and Manhood, so ultra-conservative. But he pushed back and said, I think it's wrong to use subterfuge and deception just, for culture war battles. Yeah. And other people said, oh, what, do you think it's wrong to lie to the Nazis that you've got Jews in your attic?
I knew that was coming.
These are serious times. It warrants serious measure. So you both...
The times when talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion are not as serious as the times from World War II. That's not even the same. There are wars currently happening in our world that would have some sort of equation to World War II, but the culture wars, that's not the same thing, actually. That's not the same thing at all, and it's very reductionist to think that.
Are one current and one former pastor. I want you to tell me, when is it okay for me to lie to achieve what I consider to be a good? Mike Erie, go.
Never.
Well, I'm lying that I'm enjoying this.
I want to interject one more time briefly before we hear them make their compelling case against the movie they didn't watch. I just want you to notice the tone. You see the guy on the bottom left? I think that's Sky, with his head in his hands, rolling his eyes. Pastor Erie is flippant and dismissive. So is Phil Vischer, the Veggie Tales guy. The whole thing is so beneath them. It's just so silly. It's absurd that they're even lowering themselves to discuss my film.
Yeah.
That's the general tone which pervades all the rest of what we're about to hear.
Is that the tone you're getting from me? Because that's how I feel. Like this man, like it's not that I'm above him. It's just that, well...
Came before the clip we just played. It's also the attitude that these types of people usually have when discussing me or my work. But notice something. They're discussing my work.
Okay.
I'm now discussing them discussing my work, but I'm not discussing any of their work.
Okay.
Nobody is. Nobody's discussing it.
Yeah, this is the all press is good press. So like, no, that's not, God, like it does make money. It does make money if you're outlandish and awful and doing things just for the clicks of people. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, I guess, as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation.
That's because they haven't done anything remotely worth discussing.
Veggie Tales? When people discuss Veggie Tales, come on now. I'm so blue. She's so blue she don't know what to do. I give it to the peach because he has hair. Cheeseburger in paradise. Yeah, people talk about Veggie Tales. What? No. People are watching Veggie Tales more than they're watching Matt Walsh's documentary on being racist. Good Lord.
Our lives. They haven't done anything at all. Now, Vischer made Veggie Tales 30 years ago, which is fine. That was a successful series about singing vegetables.
It's just so funny to hear singing vegetables. It's true. It's true. I think Veggie Tales is still going strong. I think they are. I don't know. I don't watch it anymore, but it never leaves you, does it?
And whatever. It's something, though, at least. These other two, and Vischer himself, post Veggie Tales, haven't done anything, ever, to move or impact the culture in any way.
But do you need to be accomplished in creating content in something that you are commenting on or criticizing? I guess like it would stand to reason that you need some sort of like experience with it. Like I personally haven't experienced racism, and I personally haven't created any explicit anti-racist content. Like I've talked about it a lot, but I haven't created anything like specifically for that, I suppose. But that doesn't mean that I'm not qualified to like stand up against people who are racist. It really like pushes people away from being able to do what they perceive as the right thing, which is all. It's hard because all these conversations, like you could flip this back onto me of what I'm saying about Matt Walsh, and it could apply if you don't like what I'm saying, and I understand that. But I also don't think that I'm throwing stones from a glass house, because I'm not homophobic, I'm not transphobic, I'm not racist, and this man is, and he's made a career off of being this pundit, if we're going to use his words. He's made a career off of being clickbaity, and outside of my Dismantling Hate videos, which are admittedly kind of clickbaity, that's not all I have to offer here. It's actually one of the smallest and least significant things that I have to offer when it comes to my content. So that's what I think about that.
Hang out in their pretentious, woke, pseudo-Christian bubble, smelling their own farts and telling themselves how much smarter and more nuanced and more sophisticated they are. But they don't do anything. They don't create anything. Instead, they spend their time dismissively critiquing the only people who are actually doing and creating things.
Well...
And look, I'm used to having useless people criticize me. It happens every day. But when they do it...
That must be me. I'm a useless person out here smelling my own farts, critiquing Matt Walsh. Good Lord.
Such a snide attitude. That's what annoys me. So here's my challenge as we continue.
Yeah.
To any of the three dudes in that podcast.
Who are smelling their own farts, just so you keep up, yeah.
Challenge. Go out and create something. Anything at all that makes a noticeable and positive cultural impact. Now,
noticeable, yeah, maybe, but not positive. What he made wasn't positive. What he made perpetuates racism.
I mean something that your liberal Christian friends like. Okay, I mean something that moves the culture in some way. Something that people outside of your bubble have to sit up and take note of and grapple with and think about. Something that makes a little bit of ripple, has a bit of a ripple effect on the surface of the water. Make anything that achieves that. Could be a song, a movie.
Okay, here's what I think then about that, is that it's easier to do that if you are doing it at the expense of other people in his movie, the people that were in the film, or anybody who benefits or thinks that diversity, equity, and inclusion is actually something that is worthwhile in the world. Like, it's easier to make ripples if you're just being outlandish for clicks, which is what I believe he's doing, right? Like, I'm sitting here, yes, my thumbnail is clickbaity and my titles are like provocative in order to get people to my video, but then when you sit down, this is actually what I believe. And I do think that Matt Walsh, hopefully, one can only hope that he's playing a character.
Joe, even a podcast, not the one you're currently on, that has zero impact, nobody watches it, but just anything at all that makes an impact. That's my challenge. And I would suggest that if you can't do that, if you can't even conceive of how to go about doing that, well, then you should probably have a little humility and wipe the smarmy smirks off your faces.
But it's not that. It's not like the quality of the documentary that they're criticizing. I think he's conflating two different things here, right? It's not that saying like, oh, it's so bad because like the quality and he's poor and didn't have the money for like MGM to come and like fund his thing and have production value in this. Like from the parts I've seen, the editing and the production quality is actually very quite good. but it's the content. It's not the production. It's not everything around it. It's actually what is the takeaway message. That is what is beneath me. That kind of nonsense, discriminatory ideas that you believe and spread around the world. That's what people are above. And that's what everybody should be above. It's not him as a person. It's not him as a creator. It's the message that he is sharing. There's a difference there.
Because not only that, but you aren't even qualified to hold the positions you currently hold. You should not be in a self-appointed position of Christian leadership or as a supposed Christian thought leader or whatever if you actually don't know how to effectively spread a message of truth and fight back against evil in modern culture. If you don't know how to do that, then all you should be doing, fellas, is sitting and listening.
And smelling your own farts.
Talking to an audience. Because you don't have anything worthwhile to say. And you don't have an example that anybody would benefit from following.
He's really pressed about this. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him go in on something so intently like this.
But maybe I'm being harsh. So let me now take my own advice and continue listening to them so that we can find out if they do, in fact, have something worthwhile to say. Let's continue.
This was the kicker from Matt Walsh, because Matt Walsh pushed back and said, I have no regrets about the methods we used and would happily do it again. And then he added, the real dividing line is between those of us who are willing to do what it takes to win the culture war and those of us who are not.
Yep. That is the dividing line. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That is exactly the dividing line. That is very true.
So you agree. You're going on record to say you agree with Matt Walsh.
In one very narrow respect, you cannot follow the Sermon on the Mount and engage in a culture war. Yes, so there is a dividing line. Absolutely. So there is this, principle in Judaism about what it is when you save a life, you save the world, and so to deceive in order to protect life, I mean, I'm all for it.
Okay.
In order to own the libs, may it never be, Phil. May it never be.
And let's be clear, it's not just deceive to own the libs, it's deceive to own the libs that in a movie that you will make millions of dollars distributing.
Yeah, and a movie that the libs aren't going to watch and pay you for.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a self-interest in here. There's a financial interest.
Of course.
It's deceiving for entertainment value.
Exactly.
Because there are a whole bunch of other ways that you could make a point that you disagree with diversity, equity, and inclusion programs,
right?
Other than making fun of the people who promote them for money.
Okay, yeah, I agree with all the Veggie Tale people.
I think that it's not just about lying, and it's not just about this movie, obviously. This is the ethic that animates so much of the Christian subculture right now. It is, if you inflate the fear that everything is on the line, the world is going to burn, the country is going to be destroyed, the churches are going to be taken over, your children are going to be, forced out of school to have a sex change operation, whatever.
Okay, yes.
These are things that are being told to people. If everything is on the line, then it justifies abandoning the way of Jesus in order to do what's necessary to save yourself and those you love.
Here.
And that's what he's saying
that's right.
It's wrong on so many levels.
If you have to set aside the commands of Jesus in order to fulfill what you think is Jesus' agenda, we can be sure it's no longer Jesus you're following.
So there's a lot there. All of it bad. It is a confused, morally and theologically incoherent stew of nonsense.
God, like he must put so much time, or somebody puts in so much time putting together his scripts, because like that was written, honey. Like it just, I think maybe he like feigns intelligence by having a really well-spoken persona. Like that wasn't incoherent. Did you understand what the Veggie Tale people just said? They may be smelling their own farts, but I'm sniffing what they're stepping in. Did you?
And it's coming from exactly the sort of weak, ineffectual, uninspired, utterly useless, limp-wristed, spineless, little mealy-mouthed, empty vessels who have all
Jesus, this man is so emotional. Good Lord.
destroyed the Christian church in the West. And that's why I get a little heated about this. It's not because I'm defending the movie. The movie doesn't need defense. It's doing great. The audience response has been overwhelmingly positive.
Okay.
Certainly not worth getting upset about the opinions of these three guys nobody cares about. What upsets me is that these three guys and the legions of Christian quote-unquote leaders just like them have done catastrophic damage to the body of Christ. And
bathed in his blood.
That damage can best be summarized by the statement from the man on the bottom right of the screen, Pastor Erie. It was a statement enthusiastically co-signed by the other two. And if I wanted to sum up all of the problems that we're having, that Western Christendom is having, I couldn't do it better than what that guy just said. He said, and I quote, "You can't follow the Sermon on the Mount and engage in a culture war." That very concisely summarizes the effeminate, castrated form of Christianity that has invaded the Christian church.
Yeah, because effeminate things are lesser to you because you're a misogynistic asshole.
Like a parasite. And it could not possibly be more wrong. I mean, you might as well say that you can't be a good boxer if you know how to throw a punch. It is a statement that misses the point so much as to be basically unintelligible. It is a wrongness so wrong that it induces stroke symptoms in the...
This is poetry here. I'm sorry. This is not... This is slam poetry in a basement of a theater. I'm just...
Encounter it. No, Pastor. Let me clear this up for you.
Okay, do it.
You can't follow the Sermon on the Mount unless you engage in the culture war. Do not light a candle and put it under a bushel. Let your light shine before men. That's what Jesus tells us in the Sermon on the Mount, and that is the culture war.
Don't let Satan blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine.
It is being a light, a flame, a torch of truth in the darkness. What do you think a culture war is? Let's break this down. I'll try to make it as simple as possible for you guys, because I know that you are not very quick to pick up on things.
No, I'm not. Very slow.
Culture itself is nothing less than everything that makes up society. Our institutions, our traditions, our customs, our art, our collective achievements, everything that defines our society, that is the culture.
Sure.
The culture war, therefore, is the fight over that. Nearly every aspect of our society, of our culture, is now controlled and defined by an ideology that not only denies but aggressively militates against Christian values and Christian teaching. It is an ideology that embraces and promotes debauchery, relativism, self-worship, hedonism, nihilism. An ideology that celebrates the mass slaughter of the unborn. An ideology that seeks to inflict
God.
resentment, suspicion, and hostility between different races, which is what our movie deals with.
I'm just gonna let this Republican Beyblade spin himself out here, and then we'll just wrap it up at the end, because I got things to do today.
An ideology that instills deep confusion in children, so they don't even understand who they are, what they are.
Yeah, he's just gonna hit everything possible. Homophobia, sexism, transphobia, like everything at once. Yeah, anti-choice. What else can you get in here? There's 2 minutes left.
An ideology that, yes, castrates and sterilizes children, which is what our last movie dealt with.
No, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Now, we want to stop that. We want to defeat that ideology and install Christian values in its place. The other option is to surrender. So tell me, Pastor, which part of the Sermon on the Mount calls for us to surrender to evil? Where did you see that?
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is done with Matt Walsh. You know what? I'm not even gonna finish it. I'm not even gonna finish it because this man could go get... Anyway, babies, in conclusion, that was essentially the end of the video there. I really don't have a lot new to say here because if you've seen any of my videos before in the past, I've talked about all of these issues at length, so I'm not actually going to break it down and discuss individually each one of these problems, partly because Matt Walsh is insufferable and just a horrendous person in my particular opinion. But hey, I'm just some liberal out here in this room smelling my own own farts, just like the Veggie Tale priest. What a sentence that was, my God. If you made it to the end of this video, this must be really important to you. And I appreciate you being here because it means a lot to me too. So help me by subscribing to the channel so we can spread our ideology around the world in place of Christian values. If you like the video, leave a like. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd be really interested to know. Yeah, and if you need some extra entertainment, head down to the comment section because I'm sure people who disagree with me are going to be very kind to me based off of my effeminate, castrated appearance out here. So thanks for getting to the end. If you want more from me, you can listen to D-Talk, my podcast, watch it on YouTube or listen to it on Spotify. It's probably listened to even less than the Veggie Tales, man. So I'm sure Matt Walsh would have a field day with it, but I personally don't give a rat's bahonka what Matt Walsh thinks about me or my content. So yeah, anyway, babies, thanks for joining me. That's all from me. I'm David Day. This was Dismantling Hate. Thanks for being here, and until the next one, go smell your own farts. And like, it is walking the line of like freedom of speech. You know what? If we're gonna be out here and we're gonna be vulnerable on this channel here together, you and me, right now, right here, yeah. We should really be talking about that because that's harmful. All right, I'm ready. Are you ready? It's okay if you're not. We'll take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay because we're gonna do it together. Roll the transphobia.